Rookie, he saved not only his coach's job, this franchise in terms of what are they going to do at the quarterback position from Joe Flacco and transition to Lamar Jackson, and now have the Ravens as a contender every single year. But in that rookie year, he had to play the Chargers 2 times in 3 weeks, and the Chargers figured them out the second time. If you watch that game, it was crazy, some of the defenses they were throwing at Lamar Jackson in his rookie year. Can we say mulligan if you want? The second year, now, going 14-2 and ready for it. And everyone saw them come #1 seed in the AFC. And to have some injuries at key positions, running back, tight end, and then to put it all on Lamar Jackson, 500-plus yards total offense from Lamar Jackson, but it was off script. It was out of balance. It wasn't their way, their formula. He loses that one. But now it seems like people have summed up Lamar Jackson as he's a guy who can't get it done when you need it most. That's not who I see. You know why? Because I see the response always in Lamar Jackson. When they told him to switch positions, he said, nah, I'll play quarterback. And what did Lamar Jackson do at the quarterback position? Lead the league in passing touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers is doing that this year, and everybody's giving him credit. And then last year, when Lamar Jackson does it, they give him the unanimous MVP, but people still's like, I don't know if he could throw. So now, what's his response this year? Oh, you lose to the Chiefs once again? Oh, look at this team. They may not even make the playoffs. He catches COVID. He has the COVID situation, comes out on the reserve COVID list, comes back 4 victories. And not only in those 4 victories did we see a 111 rating, we saw 700 yards with 8 touchdowns, and we also saw him run for 300 yards and a couple scores. The point is, Lamar Jackson's always going to respond, y'all. Win or lose, this is a guy you can count on. So will he finally take the next step in the playoffs? Absolutely. You know why? Because the guy's always responded to adversity.
I like the take. I like this. Hey,
always.
You coming out the gates hot.
Ooh.
And I respect it,
You know
brother. I respect it. But here's what I will say.
You know the beat.
I think Lamar Jackson is ready to take the next step, but unfortunately, we will not see him do it. I think he's ready to take the next step, but unfortunately, we won't see Lamar Jackson do it. In life, we judge by intention, we judge by action, not intention. Right? If I intend to do something great, but I don't do something great, that's how you're going to get judged. The problem, though, in football, we judge by outcome, not action. If the defensive back is in great coverage, but the receiver still scores on you, all you're going to see on social media, oh, the DB got burned. Because in football, we judge by outcome. We don't judge by action. So it doesn't matter, Marcellus, what Lamar Jackson's actions are. All that matters is what's going to be the outcome of the game. It doesn't matter if Lamar Jackson go out there and balls. 4 touchdowns, 1 pick in the first playoff game. If they lose, that's the storyline. He's now 0-3 in the playoffs. So why do I say that I'm not convinced that Lamar Jackson will take the next step by outcome? Because right now they're the 6th seed, sir.
Okay.
Play the Steelers as a 3 seed. Lost to the Steelers twice this season, not Lamar, the Ravens did. Lamar lost to the Steelers once. Okay,
all right.
Say things move around and they end up playing the Titans in the first round of the playoffs. Well, they already lost to the Titans this season. And they lost to the Titans last year in the playoffs. So I think Lamar Jackson is ready to take the next step. But Lamar Jackson's desire to take the next step, along with his actions in taking the next step, statistically will be completely and totally undermined if, in fact, they lose the first game in the playoffs. Do I believe that they will go out there and beat the Steelers? No, I don't believe it because I haven't seen it when it mattered. Do I believe they will go out there and beat the Titans? No, again, I do not believe it because I have not seen it when it matters. So you and I agree in part in that he has the actions items to take the next step. I just don't think we'll see him take the next step. Well, let's bring in somebody with a different opinion. That's Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings. So, Greg, are you convinced Lamar's ready to take the next step in the playoffs?
I'm not. And I'm more leaning to what you're talking about, Acho, but not 100%.
Okay.
And it really doesn't have a lot to do with Lamar Jackson. It has more to do with Greg Roman and this offensive play calling and this scheme.
That's fair.
Lamar Jackson, he desires to take the next step. He is always, like Marcellus said, he's always proven that he can do more. He can be who they need him to be. However, they've put him in a situation to where he's only been what they've needed him to be, and it's too late. It's too late when they need him to be extremely heroic in the passing game, but you've not prepared him to throw. You've not allowed him to throw all season long when you do have a lead or when you are behind. This is a team, unfortunately, that they are a front-running team. If they get ahead, they're great. They can run the ball down your throat. They can dink and dunk. They can make sure Lamar Jackson sprinkle in with his legs and get him going with his arm. However, as we've seen in 18 playoffs against the Chargers, last year's playoffs against the Titans, when they get down, and they were down big in both of those games, going into the fourth quarter, 23-3, 28-6, whatever the case may be, that's when we see the struggle of not only Lamar Jackson, but their play caller, Greg Roman. Now all of a sudden he's scrambling because he's not put this team in position to throw the ball, to be effective when it's needed, when you know a team is going to force you to become one-dimensional. So, no, this is not solely on Lamar Jackson. Ooh. And unfortunately, he's the beneficiary of a play caller that has coddled him and has put him in a position to where we only get to see him thrive in one area, and that's really running the football and playing off of their run instead of opening up with the pass and allowing him to flourish as a pass-throwing quarterback in this league.
Goodness, Greg Jennings.
That's a take.
You know what? I hate calling football games. I did it for a couple of years, arena football games. Talk about that later. But damn it, the benefits of calling football games, because Greg Jennings, you nailed that take, because you get deep into it. Not only are you there in the elements, you get to see everything as it's happening in real time, but also you have to go detailed about everything that you're seeing to express it. You just did that. Because when you talk about Greg Roman, I've had this take before, but it wasn't as concise as what you just said. Greg Roman has put a ceiling in terms of his expectation on his own quarterback, and it will come back potentially to haunt him in the postseason. I believe so much in Lamar Jackson, I think he could crash through that glass ceiling and say, forget you, Greg Roman, despite the fact that this year he has not thrown for over 270 yards in any of the games, because we realize that Greg Roman is doing what he did to Colin Kaepernick before. And I ain't getting racial up here. I'm talking about on the field. When we saw Colin Kaepernick and Ron Jaworski and myself was on television saying the most talented quarterback in the NFL at that time was Colin Kaepernick. But did we see the growth of Colin Kaepernick as expected? No, we didn't. I wonder if that's going to be a mirrored situation to what we're seeing right now with Lamar Jackson. To your point, Greg Jennings, they are front runners. The Ravens have 97 consecutive wins when they lead by 14 points. Longest active streak in the NFL. What they like to do is just get out front and, like you said, Greg, just sprinkle in the passing game instead of really trying to establish that so you can have confidence when you need that. And if you look at it with their first quarter point differential, it's the best in the NFL, 59. All that said, it's what's your plan B when you get into the postseason? Last year, they didn't expect to have a plan B. They won 14 games until the injuries occurred. And then they were like, dang, we got to go out there and do it different. I just hope it doesn't come back and haunt this team, especially Lamar Jackson, because he's poised for this moment.
I'll say it like this, because it sounds like we kind of all saying the same thing in slightly different languages, if you will. Greg, I fully agree with your take, Sal. Your second lap, I fully agree with that. I am going to be critical of Lamar Jackson because he is the face. He is the representative of Greg Roman. So let Greg Roman also inherit some of the criticism of what I am about to say. The Ravens, over the last 4 games, we've seen them win. This is this winning streak. But Lamar Jackson's only passed for over 200 yards in one of those games. That's against the worst team in the league right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even in Lamar's best performance over these last 4 games, the Cleveland Browns. We all saw it Monday Night Football a few weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. But Lamar Jackson had 124 rushing yards and 163 passing yards. 2 touchdowns rushing, 1 touchdown passing. He was actually more lethal on the ground than he was through the air. Now, we might all want to stand up and clap for that because we're saying, well, it's all total yardage, Acho. What's the problem? Let's not be discriminatory towards passing and rushing. The problem is when you get to the playoffs, like Marcellus has said, like Greg has said, like they both experienced, like I experienced one time in Philly, they make you play left-handed. All them great rushing yards that Lamar Jackson has will be tossed out the window. So when you do what Lamar Jackson did in his greatest performance against the Browns in this 4-game winning streak, what he did then isn't going to work in the playoffs. Now, so many people at home are like, Acho, Lamar had 508 total yards last year against the Titans. Let me simply submit this. 80% of them came when they were trailing by 2 scores. So statistically, based off yardage alone, Lamar has succeeded in the playoffs, even when they've made him play left-handed. But when it actually matters, he has not succeeded. So Lamar Jackson is taking the brunt of this criticism because he is the face, he is the player on the football field. But Greg Roman can inherit everything I just said.